Kapolei, Guam, and welcome to KOM News Extra. I'm Sonia Artero. Several months ago, Major Paul Cruz of the 44th Aerial Port Squadron came on News Extra to discuss the United States Air Force Reserve presence on Guam and their contribution to the ongoing military efforts in Iraq and Afghanistan. During the interview, he described how the squadron had distinguished itself as the best aerial port squadron in 2002 and how in 2004 it was again nominated for the same honor. Today, we're pleased to welcome back to the show soon to be commander of the 44th Aerial Port Squadron, Major Paul Cruz. He is here to discuss how the squadron has once again won the honor of being chosen as the best aerial port in the Air Force Reserve Command, making it the second time in 4 years that Guam's own U.S. Air Force Reserve unit has been so honored. So a hearty, warm congratulations.
Thank you. On behalf of the men and women of the 44th, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You're making us proud here on Guam. So if you wouldn't mind, please take the time to describe the award that the 44th Aerial Port Squadron was submitted for in the first place.
Well, the award has actually 3 criteria. It looks at the community involvement, innovative processes within the unit, and then its contribution to the mission, overall Air Force mission. Obviously, on the community involvement, we've got quite a bit of activities that we do within the local community, helping out the villages, as well as our participation within the Christmas drop. With the innovative processes, one of the things that people have to understand is our squadron is 240 plus personnel. We're really only supposed to be 130, and a large squadron is actually 180 according to the Air Force Reserve. So we do it with 240 people, and that causes some problems with resources. And so one of the things that we've come up with is something called a split unit training assembly, where we take some of the squadron and they actually drill on an off weekend and take advantage of the resources that way, so we can release the burden on some of the resources within the squadron, as well as providing leadership opportunities to our senior NCOs and officers in the unit.
Now, what in particular this time around did your squadron do to distinguish itself for this particular award?
Well, that last criteria, the contribution to the overall Air Force mission, I think is where we really were head and shoulders above all the other aerial port squadrons within the Air Force Reserves. The 44th Aerial Port Squadron has a unique reputation in that we are really one of those units that the Air Force Reserves calls on whenever there are shortfalls within the desert or in the combat AOR for the aerial port skill set. And so we answered the call many times over. We've sent folks to Qatar at Al Udeid, one of the busier aerial ports in the AOR. We sent folks to Insular Turkey, another very busy AOR that feeds, or aerial port that feeds the AOR. And then we sent some folks to some continental United States aerial ports, specifically Dover and Travis. They're also helping the war effort, although from the rear, but at very, very busy aerial ports. And so I think that's where we really cut our teeth and made a distinction for the 44th.
Now, where all have the members of your squadron been deployed to support the global war in Iraq?
Well, I'm happy to say that most of our folks have actually done some time in Iraq and Afghanistan. Bagram, for example, in Afghanistan, as well as Kirkuk, Balad, is some aerial ports that are actually even closed now as we've consolidated our military operations to more main operating bases such as Balad, Ali Salim, Kuwait, and then also Al Udeid, Qatar.
Now, this being the second year out of the last 4 that you've won this award, describe what makes the 44th Aerial Port Squadron such an accomplished group of professionals.
Well, I think it's 2 things, quite frankly. The first is obviously our technical competency. Not only do the reserves bring their aerial port skill set, but being reservists, we've got some folks that are teachers in their full-time jobs, firefighters, police officers, and so they bring another skill set to the AOR that they often take advantage of while they're over there, the military folks, the active duty folks. And so we have quite an accomplished group of professionals. And then the second part is kind of humorous in that we take this Guam barbecue fiesta perspective with us into the AOR. Not long after the Guam aerial porters hit the sand, does an outdoor kitchen go up. And we do some cooking for folks and really introduce them to a lot of the Guam cuisine, the Chamorro cuisine, the Filipino cuisine, and it really endears the folks that we work with to us. We create a very family-oriented, clannish network with the folks that were over there, and so it's kind of like bringing home to the desert, and a lot of people remember us by that, not only with how hard the guys work and the ladies work while they're over there, but the excellent cuisine that we offer them.
It's great to know the Hafaday spirit is being spread all over the world,
Oh,
and even in those parts of the world.
Absolutely.
Now, considering the unit's past, what does your future look like?
Well, because I think we have such a storied past, I think the biggest thing is just trying to continue that tradition. We do in the near future here have a unit compliance inspection coming up in September, and what that's going to test is our administrative excellence. And so what we're trying to do now is develop that administrative excellence that's going to match on par with our AOR efforts. And that's really our goal right now, is to develop that administrative excellence for this upcoming inspection, as well as continue the tradition of supporting the war in the AOR and folks stepping up to the plate.
Now, what if there's some folks out there listening to this interview right now going, you know, I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that action. I want to be part of the 44th Squadron, or I want to be part of the Air Force Reserve. How can they join up?
Well, the simplest way to do that is to contact the unit. The number is 366-3142. That's 366-3142. And anybody there will be happy to talk to them about the Air Force Reserves and the opportunities that are available throughout the Air Force Reserves. Specifically within the 44th, however, as I've said, we're very well manned. But we do have room for 5 additional persons who, as long as they don't have any military experience. We have a lot of our personnel that are running around in the 44th that have prior military experience, whether it's from active duty Air Force, active duty Marines, etc. But we don't really have a lot of folks that are coming into the reserves, at least to the 44th, that have never been in the service. And so we're looking for 5 select individuals that want to start off with the 44th as young airmen and hopefully grow into the leadership of tomorrow.
There you have it. Make sure you call Major Paul Cruz. Thank you very much. We
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. When we come back, we'll have 2 members of the Airport Squadron who just returned from deployment in Kuwait to hear firsthand their experience. So keep it right here.
The PTC